This story happened to me when I was a freshman in high school. It's still the scariest moment of my life. It was about a month into the school year, and it was a Friday. I remember that I was in my second hour class. It was math, and we had a test that day. I was pretty good at math back then, and I was able to finish the test pretty quickly. I felt good about it, and I saw that we still had 30 minutes of class left. I asked the teacher if I could go to my locker to put my math stuff away. She said yes, and I headed out the door. I was in no hurry to get back to class, knowing we wouldn't do anything the rest of the period, so I planned on taking my time going to my locker and back. I walked slowly to my locker, which was on the other end of school. The hallways were completely empty and quiet as I walked through them. I got to my locker and put my books back. I got some gum out of my locker and then started to head back to the classroom. Our school had 2 floors, and I remember that one of my best friends had a class right above the freshman lockers. I went upstairs to wave at him from the hallway, but when I got to his classroom, the door was shut and the lights were off. I figured the class must be in a computer lab or something. When I walked down the rest of the hallway, I noticed that all the classroom doors were shut and the lights were all off. I figured we must be having a lockdown drill. We usually had fire drills and lockdown drills early in the school year. I knew I wasn't supposed to be out in the halls during lockdown drills, so I started to walk back to my math class. After I got down the stairs, I heard footsteps. I didn't want to get in trouble, so I went under the stairs to hide. There was a little area underneath the stairs that was pretty open, but at the same time you couldn't really see from the halls. I saw it was a teacher walking down the halls. He was going pretty fast and had a concerned look on his face. He must have been looking for kids in the halls, is what I thought. He then went back up the stairs. What concerned me was that he actually started to run to go back up the stairs. The thought then occurred to me that maybe this lockdown wasn't a drill. I decided to keep going back to my classroom. I got to the sophomore locker commons, which were just in front of the math hall. But after I walked about 10 feet into the commons, I noticed a man standing in the middle of them with his back to me about 100 feet away. I didn't recognize him, and he wasn't dressed at all like a teacher or a staff member. He had longer hair and was wearing boots with dirty jeans and a black hoodie. He was just standing there looking at one of the lockers. I stood there unable to move for a second. I didn't know if he had heard me or not. I started to turn around to go back when the man punched the locker with his fist and then started to turn around. This stunned me, and I quickly hid behind a row of lockers next to me. He started to walk closer. I ducked down and held my breath. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I heard his footsteps get closer and closer. He then opened up a locker. He sounded to be about 2 rows over from me. I really didn't want to stay there for him to find me, and I made up my mind that I was going to make a run for it. I listened to make sure he was far enough away, but it suddenly got silent. It was silent for what felt like forever. I tried my best not to breathe or move a muscle. Finally, I heard his footsteps start again. They were getting closer. I couldn't take it anymore, and I got out from the lockers and took off running. I ran back the way I came and took a left which led to the front doors. I heard the man's footsteps start pounding on the floor behind me. I ran as fast as I could and didn't look back, all the while hearing him about 20 feet away. Finally, I got to the steps leading to the lunchroom and out to the front door. I sprinted to the front door to see a police car right outside. An officer saw me and the man chasing me and ran in the door and grabbed me, while another officer ran past. The man stopped chasing me and ran the other direction, but didn't make it far as he was caught. I ended up having to answer a lot of questions, but we all got out of school early that day. It turns out the man was on drugs and was trying to break into the lockers to steal things. My teacher and principal weren't even mad at me and were just happy that I was safe. In my early days of high school, I used to get to school super early in the winter because my older brother had basketball practice before school. I would usually just sit in a spot upstairs that overlooked the east entrance to the school and watch the sun rise. I found it peaceful and relaxing. On this particular day, I noticed a man walk into the school carrying a briefcase. I didn't recognize him as a teacher, so I was trying to figure out who he was. He then walked into the doors and went upstairs. He looked kind of surprised when he saw me staring at him. He smiled at me and told me he was substituting today. We shook hands and he walked away down the hall. After a while, it was time to go to class. My first period was English. About 15 minutes into class, I got a bloody nose. I would get them a lot in the winter with the dry air, and the teacher let me go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and held my nose over the sink and waited for it to go away. As I was in the bathroom, I noticed someone was in the far stall. I saw a suitcase on the ground in the stall. Then I remembered where I saw it before. It was the substitute teacher's. I found it really odd that he would take his suitcase into the bathroom with him, and that he would be in the bathroom at all 15 minutes into class when he was supposed to be teaching. After about 2 or 3 minutes, my nose was all better, and I washed my hands and started to head back to class. The man in the stall remained silent and still the entire time I was in the bathroom. I walked back to class and sat down. We started discussing a video we had watched. Not even 10 minutes passed by when the teacher said we were on a lockdown. She turned off all the lights in the room and locked the doors. All of us went into the corner of the room. It was completely silent. The teacher finally told us that a suspicious man was seen walking in the halls of the school. Seconds felt like minutes when we were all sitting there. It didn't take me long to realize who the man probably was. After about 30 minutes, they announced the lockdown was over. I went to the principal's office to report what I saw earlier. I then found out that the man seen in the halls was indeed the same man I had met and seen earlier that day. When a teacher saw him in the halls, he ran the other direction. The police were called and the man was apprehended. The scariest part of this is that they found a gun in his suitcase. It scares me to think how close I came to him when he was hiding in the bathroom. Last year I was a senior in high school. During 5th period, I was a teacher's assistant for a science class. I would usually do whatever the teacher asked me to, like grading assignments or cleaning the lab tables. Other times, I would just do my homework or chill. It was a nice break from normal class. On this day, the science class went on a field trip, and I didn't really want to go, so the teacher let me stay back in her room and grade papers. I worked for about 20 minutes and then took a bathroom break. I got back to the room and began to grade more papers when the phone to the classroom rang. I picked it up. It was a recorded message from the principal sent to all classrooms saying they were going on lockdown as a suspicious male was seen on school grounds. I followed the directions and shut the door, locked it, and turned off all the lights. I was a little nervous being as I was all by myself in the classroom, but I knew the door was locked and I should be okay. I tried to take my mind off it by going back to grading papers. I turned on a little lamp on the desk for light. I got through about 3 more papers when I heard a noise come from the back of the classroom. The room was kind of big and had desks with lab tables behind them. I knew my mind was playing tricks on me and I kept working. Then I heard something again. This time I knew it wasn't my imagination. I looked closely around the classroom. When I got to the back corner lab table, I saw it. There was a man's shoe and part of his leg that I could barely see. I was frozen and didn't know what to do. I wanted to run for the door, but I didn't know if I could make it and unlock it in time if he chased me. The teacher's desk was kind of far from the door, but I knew I had to risk it. I didn't want to stay in the room with him. I counted to 3 and then got up and calmly walked to the door. About 3 steps from the door, and I heard more noise as if the man was getting up. At that point, I reached for the door as fast as I could, unlocked it and opened it. I slammed it shut behind me and ran as fast as I could down the hall. I heard the door open behind me. I saw the nearest staircase and ran upstairs hoping to lose the man if he was following me. I didn't even know if he was chasing me, but I was scared out of my mind. I got upstairs and pounded on the nearest classroom door. The teacher let me in after about 10 seconds. The man did not follow me upstairs. I got in the room and explained everything as fast as I could to the teacher, who then made a call to inform the principal. It ended up being too late and the man was able to escape. I figure he snuck in the classroom as I went to the bathroom, and I don't know if he had intentions to harm me or not, but I'm just glad that I'm okay.